go ahead and call that out, or tell us who's not here.
Jerry is at a doctor's appointment. Tim is not here. And I did not hear from Jim.
Jim, okay.
So he may show up. If he does, great.
And then Jim called me, and his mother is in real bad shape this morning, so let's think about her when you're remembering people in your prayers. All right, this time, if you would, take your telephones and silence those, if you will. And please remember to activate your microphone when you're speaking. The first thing on the agenda today is approval of the agenda. I think that's been out for everyone to take a look at, so I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Got a motion? Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor signify by raising of the right hands. Madam Clerk, that'd be unanimous. Next item on here is approval of the minutes. Again, we'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Motion? Second?
Second.
And a second. Motion, everyone in favor, raise your right hands. Motion carries unanimously, Madam Clerk. Okay, under new business. Today we're going to look at something called understanding the property record card. I think every one of us has probably been on and looked at the cards before. But Namrita, and congratulations to Namrita, who is now our interim tax administrator, will explain the property record card for us.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to start today by looking back to see what we've actually covered in the last so many meetings. We've tried to build a narrative of what we've been doing with our revaluation. We started with a sales ratio review. We then looked at land value, which is valued at the market area level. We talked about how the county is broken down into townships, townships into market areas. Land is valued by market area. We talked about exemptions and present use value, and we then talked about commercial property in March. Today, we're going to talk about the property record card. We're going to talk about how costs are built up, how data is collected, and certain factors like grades and value factors that affect that. The overall assessed value of the property. So we're going to talk about the property record card today. At some point, you've probably looked at your property online or, a property that you're interested in online. You've noticed that we've got lots of tabs across the top that have information like parcel, building, miscellaneous improvement, land. You've probably wondered where we got all our data. So where does the tax office get its information? We get our information from a variety of different places. We get it from the Register of Deeds. When you pull a permit, we get information from the permit office that tells us that perhaps there's been a change in structure. Our appraisers go out and do field reviews and notice that a parcel might look different. People report changes to their property through listing forms or appeals. We get data from GIS, from the MLS, from public sources. We use Google Earth a lot to look at changes in a property. Last year, we also invested in, actually 2 years ago, we invested in Eagle View or pictometry, which is where a plane flies overhead and takes pictures, images of the parcels underneath. Takes oblique pictures as well, so you can actually measure property from your seat, from your desk in the office. Here's an example of a property that we looked at and found through Eagle View. The red is what we had on our books, and the picture is actually what was on the ground. This helped us pick up property. So this really helps a lot because we can do a lot right from our desk. Information like this, highlighted in the red, which is related to deeds, the deed book stamp, the cost of a parcel or the sale price of a parcel, all come from the Register of Deeds. Information like this, the township, planning jurisdiction, fire district, which places geographically a parcel, comes from GIS data. How do we develop a value, a dollar value for a parcel? It all starts with a sketch. So this is a random sketch that we picked from our books. This is the base. We've defined a base as the core living area of a house. It is 4 seasons, and it's sort of drawn in as the main portion of the house. So the appraiser goes out and measures this from the outside. In this case, they measured it, and the base was 2,200 square feet. And in 2027, we have a base rate, an average base rate for an average property at $140 a square foot. They also measured the area around it, and the area in the blue is a porch. This property has a wraparound porch. The porch was measured, it was 3,132 square feet. That was valued at $40 a square foot. This is a patio. This is a utility room. And this is a garage. So the appraiser has gone out, they've drawn this sketch, they've identified the different portions of the building, given it a name, and the data is organized sort of like this. You've got the base, which was that dark blue area in the beginning. Anything that touches the base but is not 4 season is called an addition. And any other improvement that's on that parcel that doesn't touch this main drawing is called a miscellaneous improvement. Those would be things like detached garages, carports, canopies, barns, sheds, etc. So on the left side, you see the schedule values, and on the right is the building details. So the appraiser, after drawing the parcel, will also identify things like what type of building that is, single family, and our schedule of values will tell us that that is $140 a square foot. They identify things like whether there is heating, and if it's central heating, we don't change any value. We only reduce value if the property does not have heating or air conditioning. So similarly for air conditioning, they'll identify if that particular property has air conditioning. If it does, there's no dollar difference. They identify how many plumbing features there are in that property. There's a $1,100 charge for every plumbing fixture. So in this case, there were 5, and so $5,500 were added on to that to the base for plumbing. There was also a fireplace for which our new SOV is $3,500. This brings us to our first handout, which is the additions and the deletions that we are proposing for 2027 and the dollar amounts on them. As you can see, if you look through this, the air conditioning and the heating, you can see that if there is no heating or air conditioning, we reduce $1.50 from per square foot from the value. Other features may or may not carry value. Fireplaces, like we just talked about, were $3,500. Fixtures are $1,100. We're proposing kitchens, a second kitchenette at $10,000 for a base, elevators at $20,000, generators at $5,000, and a kitchenette at $5,000. We capture a lot more features about the property. Not every feature actually carries a dollar value change. Are there any questions about the additions?
These additions and deductions, this is a standard around the state, or is it just for us?
They are a standard for every tax office, but the items they have on that list might be different.
Okay. And these numbers are like a fireplace. How did we base that at 3,500?
We look at cost data that's available, and this again, and you'll see as we go through this, this is sort of a base model. This value can be pushed up or down depending on the quality of material used. I think that'll become a little clearer as we go through these slides.
Narita, what is I see one bath, one full, one half, and then we've got 5 fixtures. Does that include the kitchen? Plumbing fixtures
No,
are 5?
no, that's for the bathroom. We have a standard dollar amount.
So one bath, one full bath, one half bath is 2, but total is 5. So what's the other 3?
This is probably a 1.5 bath.
Okay. So we have a double sink, or what do you mean by?
No, I mean, you'd have in a half bath, you'd have a toilet and a sink.
Okay.
So that's 2 fixtures.
2. Gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense now.
Yeah.
Okay, and we don't count anything in the kitchen for fixtures?
Because that's counted in the $140.
Yeah, so, okay.
If there was an additional kitchen, like in the basement or something like that, then you add that on.
Yeah, and I guess I'm jumping ahead, but this is a basic, so if we went in there and our construction is a little more robust, shall we say,
Yes.
then we're gonna have different factors for that.
Yes, and you're gonna see that in the next couple of slides.
All right.
Yes,
So
exactly.
one question I've got about the plumbing fixtures. For example, if you have a ceramic tile shower, my plumbers that we work with, they charge for 2 fixtures, the valve itself that's in the wall, and then the tub itself that's in the floor. So do you count it that way, or is a tub, shower, and the valve and all that all one?
Well, we count a sink, sort of a washing area as one, shower would be one,
Okay.
and a toilet would be one. So it's not very nuanced. It's
That's fine.
Right, that's how we would-
Plumber actually charges for 2.
yes.
In that environment.
So the other adjustments that we make would be a size factor adjustment. The logic here is that the bigger the structure, the less it costs for the additional extra square footage. So there is a slight reduction in value if the base becomes bigger. And also grade. The grade is a multiplier assigned that reflects the overall quality and workmanship of the building. Currently, we have 5 basic grades. The average is C, and that is $140 a square foot. Values can go up to $210 to up to $630 a square foot. We don't have any properties that we're valuing it at $630 a square foot in the county right now. The maximum we go up to right now, I believe, is about $420 a square foot. And this is before depreciation, so this is cost new. And the lowest we go to right now is $84 a square foot.
People are gonna ask why we have a 140 and why we have a 600. What's an easy explanation for that?
We have a schedule of values where we have to apply costs across the board to all properties. We need to have a way to reflect quality and material. So the 140 reflects a average build with average material, but as the quality of material and workmanship goes up, then the price per square foot goes up. You do have 2 handouts here. You've got one that addresses the size factor and what we've changed in 2027. And you've also got the grade adjustment handout. The big change in the size factor is that we used to reduce the value of very large homes much more substantially than we're proposing doing in 2027. In that handout, you see the gray, the second handout, the gray on the first graph depicts the amount of reduction that larger properties used to get. So we have reduced that. for 2027, we realized that we were pricing our more expensive homes less aggressively. So it was a regressive model. And so we were trying to correct for that in 27. And then with the grades, that's your third handout. That reflects, I don't have a copy of it here, but I know that it reflects, basically it shows you how many homes we have for the different grades that currently exist. Thank you. We have a cumulative chart which shows you how many homes we have that actually fall within the different grades. So like the homes that I said were about $420 a square foot, we have 7 of those in Burke County. So you can see sort of the cumulative number of homes we have that fall within the different grades. Now, this might change as we go through and do a detailed market area review. We might change this slightly, but this is sort of the range that we see currently. Moving on. So how does this actually all come together? We've talked about land previously, where we talked about a prime and a balance rate. We talked about how the first half acre is priced at what we're calling a prime rate, and then we have a balance rate, which basically gives us the ability to value at a much more nuanced level, because if 1 acre costs $15,000, for example, 2 acres is not valued at 30,000, because you have incremental reduction in cost as the value of the acreage increases. So land, in this example, this is a hypothetical example, is $21,000, including a size factor adjustment, because just like the building, land has a size factor adjustment that reduces the value as the size gets larger. Now here you can see that the main body, which was that dark blue area in the graph, was 2,200 square feet. We valued it at 140 times the size factor adjustment, because it's 2,200 square feet. And we had $9,000 added for 5 plumbing fixtures and 1 fireplace. And then we multiply the whole thing by the grade adjustment. The grade adjustment of 1.08 essentially means that our square foot price increases from 140 by 8%. So like about $150 a square foot. We also then add on any of the additions. Those were the non-forced 3-season areas that actually touched the main building. If there were miscellaneous improvements, we would add them on as well. We depreciate all of the building items because we calculate the value brand new first and then apply depreciation and come up with a full taxable amount for the parcel. So if you were looking on the website for a building and you looked at the building tab, you'd see that the top part there is the details. It will go through all of that, the handout that shows the additions and deductions, and also the grade and the amount of depreciation that this building received. The middle portion is the additions. These are all the non-3-season parts of the house that were drawn on in addition to the base. And at the bottom there, you'd see the sketch of every home and a photograph of the home. This is all publicly available information about every parcel. And we believe that having this out there sort of empowers taxpayers, because they can see the basis on which the value of their property was calculated. That's it for today. Any questions?
Go back to that slide.
Sure.
Please. So a question that I've always had, but I've never had anybody ask. Your build is 1984.
Mhm.
The effective year is 1995.
Yes.
Where does that come from?
So we calculate the idea is that depreciation changes
Mm-hmm.
all the time. And by that, what I mean is in a year when, say, there's a big supply of homes, people may be picky and say they want homes that were built only in the last 10 years. And so the value of those very old homes actually falls a little bit more in that year when the market demand is low for them. Similarly, in a year when there really aren't that many homes, people would be willing to pay a lot more for a 1960s home or a 1950s home than they would be. So every reappraisal, we calculate the value of every property brand new. Then we calculate the depreciation curve, which is based on the market at that time, because remember, we're trying to value everything based on market conditions as of a particular date. Effective date is basically a way to show what the life of that home is in the appraiser's estimation for the rest of the time. So our depreciation curve for homes, for single family homes, is based on a life of 75 years. And so we're saying that if this home's entire life is 75, based on what we see and know about the property, we think that its effective age is X, so that it fits on a depreciation curve that we can match to the market. So that is something that the appraiser decides for your property.
And that's subject to each individual property.
Correct. It is a subjective
Wow.
feature.
Okay.
Yes. It's to figure out about how much depreciation to
Right.
apply to that property.
Well, see, I can't use it in insurance. I have to use the older date. So I can't.
You can't use an
I
effective
can't
age.
give it the new younger date because that's, just for you guys. So
Yes.
my effective date is 1984.
Right. It'll be the actual age.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, you're trying to value everything. You're trying to use uniform methods to value your entire stock of property. And so,
The only thing it does for us is it could change the quality of construction. The older homes, most of the time, are built more soundly.
right. So the quality,
and
ideally, you
and
don't.
details. So
Yes.
It does change sometimes the factors we have to use for replacement cost. So
Yes.
yeah, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Thoughts?
Can you go back one slide?
Sure. This one?
Yeah, so there was an increase of about $40,000 in taxable value from what it was to what it is now, based on that number at the bottom. Is that correct?
No, I'm not sure how you're calculating the $40,000.
Well, is it the same house? If you go to the next slide, is it the same house as your, so it's not the same house?
No, it's not. This is just a hypothetical example.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a made up example of what we were using. It's just basically to show you that you've got different components to the value. So you've got land, which you calculate at the market area level. You've got the building portion, for which you've got a schedule of values, which all of you will be part of. You've been part of in developing. For the whole county, that's going to be based on standard costs across the county, adjusted by features like the grade, the depreciation, to try to reach values. You've got to be able to value a very fancy house by the lake, as well as a house in sort of rural Burke County that hasn't been updated in 50 years. And you've got to do that on the basis of a schedule that you're creating that will fit everything.
So if you go to the next real house, what do you think the jump would be tax-wise?
Well, across the county, I think, as of right now, the jump is about 15% on an average, but this is a moving target because really the change is going to be what we project the value will be as of January 1, 2027. Sales are softening a little bit right now. So we are kind of looking at that to make sure that we can move with the market as soon and make adjustments based on what the market dictates. As of right now, it's about 15 to 20% across the county, but I do believe that number is going to change.
And how much of a revenue do you expect that to be for the county?
Depends on the tax rate. So I know that the total in 2023, our tax base for real property was about $8 million. In 2026, it was about $8 million. And so it's whatever, 0.55 for Burke County, 0.56 the tax rate would be what it would generate. Yeah, the assessed value is just one feature in the total amount of money that's generated in the, for tax revenue. It's really the tax rate that's going to drive what the tax bills are going to do.
Is the market softening all the way across the state, or are we just an example?
I have talked to a few other assessors, and they have said they've started to see trends, but in some places it's a little more pronounced. I think people in the more urban areas in Forsyth County and Raleigh haven't seen too much of a change yet. Here we are starting to see a change. We don't know yet whether this is just a cyclical, the fact that less homes sell in the spring versus maybe in the summer thing, or if this is going to be a trend. So we are trying to make sure that whichever way the market goes, that we are flexible and are able to reflect that in our values in 2027.
All right, go back one slide for me, please.
This one?
Under other, what is $50,000 worth of other?
Oh, I didn't list out. You see, in that first graph that we had a utility room.
Mm-hmm.
We had a utility room, we had a patio, we had a garage.
Okay.
And so I didn't list them all out. I just said other. And I made up a number.
All right.
But that was what that other was going to be. I have to go through this whole thing to get to the next slide.
Okay.
So hopefully that gives you an idea of how we build up value and how everything really gets dictated by sales ratios. And that's where we want to end up in 2027.
And our tax cards are much more readable than some of our neighbors.
I'm glad you think so.
They are, truthfully.
They are.
Good,
Yeah.
good,
And it has all the data there. It's just more readable.
good.
All right, are there any other questions about the additions and deletions to the base rate and the size factor adjustments and the grade distributions? All right, if there's not, we are going to take a vote today to adopt the proposed rates. And tell us one more time what those proposed rates would be.
Well, there are a number of rates. So we've already adopted the 140. It would just be adopting these or approving these schedules that have been provided to you, because there's several rates in there.
Any questions on what we're voting on then? All right, if not, I'll entertain the motion to adopt the proposed rates.
So moved.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Do have a second. All in favor? Please raise your right hand. Okay, that'd be unanimous, Madam Clerk. All right, let's move on to our member reports today. So we'll open the floor for comments from the board members. Go around. Evan, you want to start out? Anything? Kevin? I still would like for y'all to stay abreast of what's going on at the General Assembly. It's the proposed tax levy is to me, it's a scary proposition. We need to really take a long, hard look at that. It, of course, has to have a 3/5 votes to put it on for a November ballot, and I don't know anybody that wouldn't vote for it. You know, when you come, if you tell anybody they're going to get a tax reduction, they're going to vote for it anyway. But we still have to look, if we're going to provide services in the county, and we've always maintained an excellent tax rate. Of course, I'm a little prejudiced, but I think the tax rate's right where it should have been. I think our valuations are right where they should have been in the county. We're not one of those counties that is gouging. Some of the larger counties make a lot of money. They don't change their tax rate. When their valuations go up, they keep their same tax rates, and therefore they can bring in a little bit more money. But I think we've done an excellent job here in our county, keeping the rates based on population and cost of living. That's the only adjustments that you truly have to make. And Namrita and her group, it appears to me, everything I've seen, I always learn something again, doing an excellent job of everything that you have to keep up with in the tax office. So I just really want to commend them. But please take some time to Senator Berger and Dustin Hall are really pushing the tax levy proposition. And the thing about it is that they're pushing it, but they don't say how they're going to help, if they have to help the counties to make up for when we have to provide certain services for people. So that's a scary proposition. That's the only thing I have. Any other questions or comments for today? All right. Our next meeting is scheduled for June the 2nd, 9:00 a.m. here in this room. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion for us to adjourn for today.
So moved.
I've got a motion now and a second. All in favor, raise the hands. That's unanimous, Madam Clerk. Thank you again for being here today.